Welcome back, everyone. Okay, let's dive right into this. Today, we're unpacking a really heartwarming and honestly highly practical explainer. We're looking at something that affects practically every single one of us, household dynamics and that invisible, heavy weight of daily chores. We're going to see how making a massive transformation in your home doesn't actually require these huge, sweeping gestures. Sometimes, the absolute most profound changes come from just the smallest, most manageable little shifts in our daily routines.
So I want you to think about this question for a second. Can changing a few tiny, seemingly insignificant habits actually transform your family's baseline happiness? It's so easy to feel like fixing a stressful home environment means you need a complete schedule overhaul or, hiring outside help. But what if the solution is right there in the micro interactions we have with our space every single day? As we go through today's explainer, I want you to keep your own household in mind. Think about how the subtle shifts we're about to explore might apply to your own life.
To figure that out, we're looking at a beautifully handwritten story. This is our main source for today, and it's about two siblings, Simran, who's in class 3, and her older brother, Arun, who's in class 5. It's just a really simple, grounded narrative, but it perfectly captures a struggle we all know. By looking at exactly how Simran and Arun navigated their family dynamic, we're going to uncover a real blueprint for empathy and action.
All right, let's set the scene with part 1, a mother's invisible workload.
Now, what's really interesting here is that both parents in this story are working, and the story points out that the father does pitch in around the house. Yet, despite that, the mom is just constantly exhausted. And, it's not just about the physical tasks, it's that mental load, right? The planning, the organizing, that constant underlying hum of responsibility. Notice the sheer volume of what she's managing. On one side, she's got her demanding office work, requiring focus, energy, and time. And on the other, the household chores, cooking, cleaning, organizing, parenting. She's effectively working a grueling double shift every single day. Even with a supportive partner, the math just doesn't work out in her favor. When you're burning the candle at both ends like that, chronic fatigue is pretty much inevitable.
Which brings us to part 2, the sibling pact. Kids are incredibly perceptive. And one day, Arun makes this really crucial observation.
He realizes that his mom never actually seems to take a break. Like while he and his sister have downtime to play or relax, his mom is just always in motion, always doing something for someone else and never taking a moment to just sit and enjoy time for herself. And that realization prompts Arun to go to his sister with a simple but profound thought. We should do something to help mom. I really want to emphasize this because acknowledging the problem is literally the very first step to fixing it. Empathy is wonderful, but empathy without action is kind of just an observation, right? Arun takes that feeling of sympathy and turns it into a directive. He decides the status quo is unacceptable.
And here is where the absolute brilliance of this story comes in. Simran, who again is only in class 3, replies, "Yes, we can change our small habits." This line right here anchors our whole explainer. Notice what she didn't say. She didn't say we'll cook all the meals or we're going to clean the entire house top to bottom. They didn't aim for these grand, impossible gestures that they'd probably abandon after 2 days anyway. Instead, they focused purely on sustainable micro-habits. They looked at the things they could actually control in their own daily routines.
So the crucial part is execution. Let's move right into part 3, implementing small daily habits. Because having a great idea is one thing, but actually starting the very next day, that's where the magic happens. Arun and Simran didn't wait for a Monday or a new month. They integrated these behaviors immediately. Let's walk through the checklist they made. Step 1, they started putting their plates in the sink after lunch. Simple, right? Step 2, they made sure to put their things back in their proper places. Step 3, they took over watering the plants. And step 4, which is arguably the biggest game changer here, they started waking up and getting ready for school completely independently. No reminders, just think about the friction that removes. Imagine a morning routine where a mom doesn't have to act as the alarm clock, the timekeeper, and the manager. By just taking ownership of their own basic routines, these kids completely eliminated a massive layer of daily stress. Now we enter part 4, the ripple effect. Just like a pebble dropped in a pond, the cumulative effect of these micro-habits started showing a massive return on investment almost immediately. And this perfectly illustrates the direct correlation we're talking about. Because the kids were managing their own plates, their toys, their own morning routines, the practical outcome was simply less work to do for their mom. And the emotional and physical payoff? She was happier, she was less tired, and she finally found that breathing room Arun noticed she was missing. By reclaiming those lost minutes and that expended mental energy, the entire vibe of the household completely transformed.
Which brings us to the heartwarming conclusion of our story, Part 5, Love Translated into Action.
We often think of love in terms of, words or gifts. But practically speaking, love is an action. One evening, after these new habits had been running for a while, the parents really took stock of the positive changes. They saw their kids' independence, felt the reduction in their own stress, and they just smiled proudly at Arun and Simran. The mother actually looked at them and said, "Thank you, children. Your small efforts have made a big difference." It's just such a validating moment. It completely cements the core lesson here. Tiny, consistent efforts compound. When you're absolutely exhausted, someone taking even a tiny task off your plate feels like a monumental gift.
So let's quickly summarize the really profound lessons Simran and Arun learned here. First off, helping at home is genuinely one of the most tangible ways to show love and care. Practical help is the ultimate expression of empathy. Second, micro habits significantly reduce parental stress. You don't have to overhaul the whole system, you just fix the small bottlenecks, like that crazy morning rush. And finally, it is never too early to start contributing. Simran was in class 3, but she fully understood her own power to positively impact her environment.
Which leads us with this final question. I want to pass Arun and Simran's challenge directly over to you. Look at your own household. Look at the people you share a space with. What is one small habit, putting a dish away, handling a chore without being asked, getting yourself ready, that you can change today to show care for your family? Remember, you don't need a massive, sweeping plan. You just need a small habit and the willingness to start right now. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I seriously can't wait to see how you apply this in your own lives.